to go.
Genesis 31. Jacob flees with his family and flocks. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that our fathers, and from what was our fathers, he has gained all his wealth. Verse 2, and Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Verse 3, then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers, to your kindred, and I will be with you. Verse 4, so Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was. Verse 5, and said to them, I see your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've served your father with all my strength. Verse 7, and yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not permit him to harm me. Verse 8, if he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock were spotted. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock were striped. Verse 9, thus God has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. Verse 10, in the mating season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that he-goats, which leaped upon the flock, were striped, spotted, and mottled. Verse 11, then the angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob. And I said, here I am. Verse 12, and he said, lift up your eyes and see, all the goats and leap upon the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I've seen all that Laban is doing to you. Verse 13, I'm the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go forth from this land and return to the land of your birth. Verse 14, then Rachel and Leah answered him, is there any portion or inheritance left for us in our father's house? Verse 15, are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has been using up the money given for us. Verse 16, all the property which God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do. Verse 17, so Jacob arose, sent his sons and his wives on camels. Verse 18, and he drove away all his cattle and his livestock, which he had gained, the cattle in his possession, which he had acquired in Paddan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan, to his father Isaac. Verse 19, Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. Verse 20, and Jacob outwitted Laban and the Aramean, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. Verse 21, he fled with all he had and arose and crossed the Euphrates and set his face towards the hill country of Gilead. The next section, Zeke, is Laban overtakes Jacob. Verse 22. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, verse 23, he took his kinsmen with him and pursued him for 7 days and followed closer after him into the hill country of Gilead. Verse 24, but God came to Laban, the Aramean, in a dream by night and said to him, take heed that you say not a word to Jacob, either good or bad. Verse 25, and Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen encamped in the hill country of Gilead. Verse 26, and Laban said to Jacob, what have you done that you have cheated me? carried away my daughters like captives of the sword. Verse 27, why did you flee secretly and cheat me, and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with myrrh and songs, and with tambourine and lyre? Verse 28, and why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. Verse 29, it is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your fathers spoke to me last night, saying, take heed that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad. Verse 30, and now you have gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Verse 31, Jacob answered, because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Verse 32, and one with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of your kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours and take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Verse 33, so Laban went into Jacob's tent and Leah's tent, and into the tents of the two maidservants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Verse 34, now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat upon them. Laban felt all about the tent, but he did not find them. Verse 35, and she said to her father, let not my Lord be angry, that I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me. So he searched, but did not find the household gods. Verse 36, then Jacob became angry and upbraided Laban. Jacob said to Laban, what is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Verse 37, although you have felt through all my goods, what have you found of your household gods? Set it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us two. Verse 38, these 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes.
There's something on the computer.
Oh, that's okay. Just close it out, baby. Your ewes and your she-goats have not miscarried, and they have not eaten the rams of your flocks. Verse 39, that which was torn by a wild beast, I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. Of my hand you required it. Whether stolen?
They really call it because it's a FaceTime call.
Okay, it's okay, baby. We're doing worship right now, baby.
It doesn't start with a 5, 6, 2. It's 2, 5, 1.
Okay, baby. We're doing worship right now. Okay.
Not 5, 6.
So just ignore it, son. Okay. Whether stolen by night. Verse 40. Thus I was by day, the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sheep fled from my eyes. Verse 41. These 20 years I've been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Verse 42, if the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night. Okay? Next section, verse 43. Laban makes a covenant. Laban makes a covenant, verse 43, with Jacob.
I'm just taking the time.
Okay.
9 minutes and 53
Okay,
seconds.
so Laban, Jacob gave his speech. He said he was angry and all his problems he had with Laban, and Laban, oh, I'm sorry, and then he makes a promise, okay, with Jacob. He makes a covenant.
Who makes it?
Laban saw that he did bad, and then he tells Jacob he's sorry, and they make a covenant. Okay, verse 43. Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters, or to their children whom they have born? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. Verse 45, so Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones, and they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Verse 47, Laban called it Jager.
Jacker.
Yeah,
Jacker.
it's Jager with a E.
Oh,
Shadutha.
wait, let me see that one. Let me see that one. That's Jagger's like.
Jager, not Jagger. Jager Shadutha.
Where's
That's what Laban called it. Jager Shadutha. But Jacob,
no, Jagger is like Jagger. Jagger's
kind of like Jagger, yeah.
because Jagger's in my same.
Yes, your classmate Jagger. It's kind of
Jagger-
like that,
Jagger
but it's
has-
Jager.
Jagger has two G's, and I know how to spell Jargger.
Yeah, this is
It's
Jagar.
Jagger.
Jager,
It's
okay? That's what
Jagger.
Okay, let's focus on chapter 31, baby. But that's what Laban called it. But Jacob called it Gilead. Verse 48, Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore, he named it Gilead. Verse 49, and the pillar Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent from one another. Verse 50, if you ill-treat my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, remember, God is witness between you and me. Verse 51, then Laban said to Jacob, see this heap and the pillar which I have set between you and me? Verse 52, this heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap for you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me for harm. Verse 53, the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. So Abraham swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Verse 54, and Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain.
What sacrifice?
He sacrificed an animal like they used to do in the Old Testament, remember? Like from the very beginning, from Cain and Abel. Okay, a sacrifice like that. And Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain. He called his kinsmen to eat bread. And they ate bread and tarried all night on the mountain. Verse 55, early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he departed and returned home. That's all of chapter 31. Ziki, do you have a question?
No.
Okay, that's the end of that section.
It's 40 minutes.